A human saved the alien princess. The queen's response shocked everyone. Among them, the planet Zarathia shone like a jewel, famous across several sectors for its advanced technology and rigid traditions. It was a place where rules governed everything: society, diplomacy, even heroism. To outsiders, it appeared perfect, but beneath the polished surface was a civilization that valued order over emotion, protocol over bravery. In the orbit near Zarathia, a sleek, silver diplomatic ship glided silently. On board, Princess Liara, the youngest daughter of Queen Serafina, stared out of the large viewport, feeling uneasy. Though trained to be calm and diplomatic, a flicker of concern crossed her features. Intelligence reports had warned of pirate activity in the nearby sector, but the Royal Council assured her that her heavily guarded ship would be safe. Liara's concern grew when her ship shuddered violently. Warning lights blinked red. Alert! "We are under attack," shouted a crew member, his voice tight with tension. Pirates, small, fast, and heavily armed, were swarming their position, using hit-and-run tactics to overwhelm the larger, slower ship. Liara's eyes widened. She had trained in defensive maneuvers, but her ship's weapons were insufficient against so many attackers. Panic briefly touched her usually calm mind. "Activate emergency protocols," the captain barked. The ship's engines roared, attempting to dodge the attackers, but the pirates were relentless. Missiles streaked past the ship, explosions lighting up the darkness outside. Back in a quieter sector of space, Captain Ethan Carter, a human explorer from Earth, was making routine scans of a nearby asteroid belt. Ethan was nothing like the heroes described in galactic legends. His ship was small, outdated, and lacking advanced weaponry. What he had, however, was ingenuity, courage, and the human instinct to act when needed. A strange signal flashed on his scanner, an SOS. The code wasn't Earth standard, but something about the pattern caught his attention. He traced it to the direction of Zarathia's orbit. Curiosity mixed with a sense of duty, Ethan set a course, adjusting his small ship to intercept. By the time he reached the sector, the situation was dire. Liara's ship, though elegant and technologically superior in most ways, was struggling. Smoke drifted from damaged engines, and warning sirens screamed. The pirates, sensing an easy target, closed in. Ethan gritted his teeth. Outgunned and outnumbered, he knew he couldn't rely on firepower alone. He needed strategy, speed, and unpredictability. Humans were not known for advanced alien technology, but their minds were flexible and fast. He activated a risky maneuver, darting his ship into the path of the pirates. The pirates were caught off guard. One ship swerved to avoid collision, crashing into an asteroid and exploding. Another tried to circle Ethan, but he used the gravitational pull of nearby rocks to swing past, knocking it off course. Meanwhile, Liara watched from her damaged ship, shocked. No alien pilot had dared such moves before. Humans were considered clever, yes, but reckless. Yet here was one acting decisively, putting his life on the line for strangers. Ethan's small ship zipped back and forth like a dart, drawing the pirates away from Liara's path. Then, with careful precision, he deployed a simple but effective trap, a magnetic pulse that disabled the pirates' engines temporarily. They drifted helplessly, allowing Liara's ship to slip past. Who is that?" she whispered, astonished. Her crew exchanged confused glances. The human was not part of their fleet, yet he was saving them. "Impossible," muttered the captain. "No human should be this capable." As the last of the pirates fled, Ethan's ship hovered nearby, ready in case of further attack. Liara, recovering from shock, finally spoke. You saved my life." Her voice was a mixture of awe and curiosity. Ethan offered a modest smile. "Just doing what I could, you're welcome." He had no idea of the impact this simple act would have on the political and social world of Zarathia. Liara studied him. He was human, skin fair, eyes bright, and hair slightly disheveled from the battle. But it was his calm confidence, his willingness to act without hesitation, that impressed her most. She had spent her life around highly trained warriors, but none had shown such combination of courage and clever thinking. "Thank you," she repeated, more firmly this time. "I owe you more than words." Ethan shrugged. "It's what humans do, we try to help when we can." For a moment they simply watched the stars, the vastness of space stretching endlessly. The silence was comforting, a rare moment of peace after the chaos. Then Liara spoke again. "I need to take you to Zarathia. My mother, the queen, she must know what you've done. And I suspect she might react in ways no one expects." Ethan tilted his head. Queen, reaction, I've never met an alien ruler before, should I be worried? Liara smiled faintly, a hint of humor in her otherwise serious expression. With my mother, worrying is always reasonable. The journey to the capital was long and tense. Ethan rode in the royal ship's passenger chamber, a place filled with unfamiliar technology, screens displaying alien glyphs, and machines whose purposes he couldn't immediately guess. Liara guided him patiently, explaining basics when he asked questions. How does this work? Ethan asked, pointing to a console that projected a holographic map of the galaxy. It tracks our position, energy levels, and potential threats, Liara explained. Most humans couldn't read it without training, but you seem quick to understand. Ethan grinned. We've got a reputation for improvising. Rules aren't always our strong suit. Liara laughed softly, a sound rare in her royal duties. For the first time, she felt a strange camaraderie with this human, someone so different yet so capable. Their journey was not without peril. Pirates, though defeated in the initial encounter, had scattered throughout the sector. Smaller skirmishes erupted as the royal ship maneuvered through asteroid fields and nebula clouds. Ethan's insights often made the difference, suggesting evasive maneuvers, spotting ambushes before sensors did, and even helping the ship's AI optimize energy allocation during attacks. The crew began to notice. That human, he's unusual, muttered the captain. He thinks differently, not alien different, but clever, Liara nodded. That's why I brought him, not just to meet my mother, but because I believe he could understand things our own strategists miss. As they neared the capital, the landscape unfolded below like a dream. Towering crystal spires reflected the light of three suns, while floating bridges connected immense structures. Ships of every design moved in precise patterns through the sky, some carrying diplomats, others patrolling the orbit. The city was alive, humming with the energy of a civilization both advanced and strict. Ethan's jaw dropped. It's incredible, Liara smiled. Welcome to Zarathia, Captain Carter. Tomorrow you will meet my mother. Today you rest. You've earned it. But rest was uneasy. Ethan lay in the cabin, staring at the ceiling, replaying the battle over and over. He had saved a life, an alien princess, no less. But he knew nothing about Zarathian politics, traditions, or the Queen's temperament. One wrong move tomorrow could have consequences he could not imagine. Meanwhile, Liara prepared her report to her mother. She wrote of the human's courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. She did not exaggerate. She knew her mother's sharp eyes would detect any false praise. And yet she added a subtle note. Humans, though untested in Zarathian culture, might be a force of unexpected potential. In the capital, Queen Seraphina stood in her high throne room, her posture perfect, her expression calm yet intimidating. She received the report from Liara with barely a flicker of reaction, but deep within, curiosity stirred. A human had saved her daughter. A creature from a species considered primitive by Zarathian standards had acted with brilliance. How he had done it, and why, was unknown. The Queen's advisors whispered among themselves, their voices low. The human is clever, one said, but can he be trusted? Seraphina's eyes narrowed slightly. Trust is not the question, she said softly. Surprise is, and humans, they always surprise. Across the galaxy, in a small, human-built ship now docked in Zarathia's orbital port, Ethan Carter could not have imagined the storm he had stepped into. One act of bravery had saved a life and earned him a place in alien history. But the next step, meeting the Queen, would be unlike anything he had faced before. As the stars twinkled outside, the human and the princess prepared for the moment that would change both of their lives. And the galaxy waited silent, as history quietly turned a new page. The silver hull of the royal starship shimmered in the glow of distant suns as it sailed through the quiet void of space. Princess Liara sat near the navigation console, her fingers brushing over the smooth controls as she monitored their route to the capital. Beside her, Captain Ethan Carter observed the unfamiliar equipment with fascination, his eyes bright with curiosity. This is incredible, he said, leaning closer to a display panel. I've never seen a ship that can adjust its energy flow like this. Most Earth ships just have engines and thrusters. This, he gestured to the glowing screens, this is like flying a living being. Liara smiled faintly. It's advanced, yes, but it is also very rigid. The ship responds best when you follow protocol. Spontaneous decisions can sometimes be dangerous. Ethan chuckled. I guess I'm not exactly a protocol kind of guy. She glanced at him, amusement in her violet eyes. Humans were strange. On one hand, they were unpredictable, reckless even. On the other, their creativity and quick thinking were unmatched. In the battle against the pirates, his instincts had saved her life. No amount of training or technology could have done what he did. The journey, however, was not only about learning to navigate alien technology. Space itself was full of dangers, and though the pirates had been defeated once, smaller raiding groups and rogue drones still lurked in the sector. Liara's ship, though powerful, was not invincible. Their first challenge came sooner than expected. Sensors picked up a cluster of asteroids drifting in their path but moving irregularly. Most pilots would slow down, carefully navigating each rock. Ethan leaned over the console, studying the holographic map. "Wait," he said, pointing. "Instead of dodging each one, we can use the field to block pursuit. Let them try to follow us, they'll crash or lose time." Liara raised an eyebrow. "That is unorthodox, very human." "Call it improvisation," Ethan replied with a grin. She hesitated, then activated his plan. The ship weaved through the asteroid field, faster and more confidently than Liara would have expected. As predicted, the remaining pirate drones attempted to follow and were scattered by the tumbling rocks. Some spun out of control, others collided with the asteroids and were destroyed. The crew, who had initially been skeptical of the human, now watched in awe. "He's thinking differently," one muttered. "We would never have tried that." Liara felt a thrill of pride. Not only had he saved her life, but his unique human approach had also protected the ship and crew again. Perhaps humans, though untested in Zarathian society, had a value beyond what her people could imagine. For the next several hours, Ethan worked closely with the ship's AI, a precise and emotionless intelligence named Vyark. At first, Vyark seemed confused by his suggestions, questioning the logic behind his unorthodox methods. But slowly the AI adapted, integrating his ideas with its calculations. "You are unusual," Vyark stated, its calm voice echoing through the cabin. "Your decisions are not typical of Zarathian or allied species, yet they are effective." Ethan shrugged. "Like I said, humans improvise. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but today it seems to work pretty well." Liara laughed softly. It was a warm, rare sound in the otherwise tense atmosphere of the ship. "You have a strange kind of courage, Ethan. Most people would follow instructions blindly. You think, act, and adapt. I like that." Ethan smiled, though he felt a slight weight on his shoulders. "I didn't do this for compliments, I just reacted, but I'm glad it worked." The peaceful moments were brief. Soon, another challenge presented itself. The ship's sensors detected an unstable energy field ahead, a remnant of a collapsed star. The field created unpredictable gravitational waves that could damage the hull if they passed through carelessly. Liara's hand hovered over the controls. "This field is dangerous. Standard protocol advises waiting for it to stabilize." Ethan shook his head. "Waiting isn't an option. We need to get to the capital. But we can use the waves to our advantage, ride them like a surfer on a cosmic tide." Liara's eyes widened. "You want to surf the gravitational waves?" "Exactly," he said confidently. "It's risky, but it's faster and more efficient than waiting, and trust me, I'm good at risky." For several tense minutes, Ethan guided the ship alongside the waves, adjusting speed and trajectory in real time. Liara's heart raced. The stars outside stretched and twisted as the ship navigated the invisible forces, each moment requiring precise coordination. When they finally cleared the field, Liara exhaled. "I can't believe that worked. You humans really are unpredictable." Ethan grinned. "I'll take that as a compliment." The remainder of the journey was quieter but no less significant. Ethan learned more about Zarathian culture, and Liara learned more about humanity. They shared stories of their worlds. Liara described the beauty of her home planet, the towering crystal cities, and the strict protocols of court life. Ethan spoke of Earth, a small, fragile planet where humans constantly adapted to survive, invent, and explore. "You live on such a tiny planet," Liara said, curiosity bright in her eyes. "And yet your species has reached the stars." Ethan shrugged modestly. "We like to try. We're small but clever, and stubborn, that helps sometimes." Liara laughed. "Stubbornness, I see it in you. That is perhaps why you survived today." As the capital drew near, Ethan observed the alien world below. Zarathia was breathtaking. Towering spires of crystal and metal floated above verdant plains, connected by glimmering sky bridges. Hovercraft glided through the air, carrying officials, traders, and visitors. The city pulsed with life, a blend of technology and beauty that left Ethan in awe. "Welcome to Zarathia," Liara said softly. "Tomorrow you will meet my mother, Queen Seraphina. She is unlike anyone you've ever met, cautious, intelligent, and unpredictable." Ethan nodded. "Sounds intimidating, but after today, I think I can handle it." That evening, the ship descended to a docking platform in the capital's orbit. Robots and personnel moved with precision to secure the vessel. Ethan followed Liara through a series of corridors, each more grand than the last. Crystal walls reflected the ambient light, and floating displays showed information in a language he could not read. Yet he felt strangely at ease. He had faced danger before, and though this was different, he knew he could adapt. Liara led him to a private chamber, simple yet elegant, where he could rest before meeting the Queen. "You will need your strength," she said. "The Queen does not reward fatigue. You must be alert, confident, and clever." Ethan sank into a chair, staring out at the city below. The lights glimmered like distant stars, but the pressure of what awaited him made his heart pound. He had saved a princess, navigated space battles, and even guided an alien ship through dangers. Yet the thought of facing the Queen of Zarathia, someone so powerful and so cautious, was more daunting than any pirate attack. That night he dreamed of crystal towers and starships, of shadowy figures plotting in the corridors of power, and of the princess he had saved. He awoke determined. Whatever awaited him tomorrow, he would meet it with courage, logic, and the adaptability that had kept him alive thus far. Meanwhile, Liara prepared her report to the Queen. She described every detail of Ethan's actions, from his swift decisions during the pirate attack to his clever navigation of the asteroid field and gravitational waves. She did not exaggerate. She knew her mother's sharp mind would detect falsehoods. But she emphasized a single point. Humans, though untested in Zarathian society, possessed a potential for creativity and bravery unmatched by her own people. Queen Seraphina received the report in her throne room, a space of soaring ceilings and polished crystal floors. Her posture was perfect, her expression calm. The courtiers watched as she read, expecting a neutral response. But Seraphina's eyes flickered ever so slightly. A human had saved her daughter. Not a Zarathian, not a trained ally, a human. That alone was extraordinary. She leaned back, her fingers steepled, contemplating. "The human is clever," she said softly, almost to herself. "But cleverness alone is not enough. It is the courage to act and the unpredictability of his decisions that makes him fascinating." Her advisors murmured among themselves, uncertain. "Should we be wary, Your Majesty?" one asked. Seraphina's gaze swept over them. "Trust is not the question, surprise is, and humans they always surprise." Far above, in the orbiting city, Ethan Carter could not have imagined the storm of curiosity, caution, and intrigue his actions had unleashed. One simple act of courage, one human instinct to act, had set events in motion that could change the fate of Zarathia itself. As he looked at the stars outside his chamber, Ethan felt a mixture of anticipation and resolve. Tomorrow, he would meet the Queen. He did not know her intentions, her rules, or the customs that governed her court. But one thing was certain: humans survive, adapt, and act when it matters most. And in the vastness of space, that could make all the difference. The morning light of Zarathia's capital glimmered off the towering crystal spires, reflecting colors that seemed almost impossible to describe. Princess Liara led Captain Ethan Carter through the corridors of the palace, her steps graceful and certain. For Ethan, every moment was a mixture of awe and anxiety. The grandeur of the palace was unlike anything he had ever seen on Earth, or even in his travels across nearby sectors. "Stay calm," Liara whispered as they approached a set of immense doors. "The Queen is strict, observant, and clever. Do not act rashly, do not try to impress her artificially, and do not panic." Ethan nodded, trying to appear confident even as his stomach twisted. "Got it. Calm, observant, clever, and hopefully I survive." Liara allowed herself a quiet chuckle. "You have an unusual sense of humor for a human. It may serve you well or it may confuse the court. Either way, it is part of who you are." The doors slid open silently, revealing the throne room, a vast chamber of glittering crystal and polished metal. At the center sat Queen Seraphina, tall and imposing, her posture perfect, her eyes sharp and piercing like polished amethyst. Around her, advisors, ministers, and elite guards watched silently, their expressions guarded. Ethan took a deep breath. He had seen rulers before, but none commanded such quiet authority. Every movement, every glance seemed calculated, as if the room itself was a test. "Your Majesty," Liara began, bowing respectfully, "I present Captain Ethan Carter. He saved my life during a pirate attack near your orbit. His actions," she hesitated, then added firmly, "were brave and clever beyond what words can describe." The Queen's eyes shifted to Ethan. For a moment, the room felt as though it had gone silent. Ethan straightened, unsure what to do. In human terms, he would have extended his hand for a greeting, but in Zarathian culture, physical contact was formal and only allowed if the Queen permitted it. He stood still, waiting. Queen Seraphina's gaze swept the room. "You are the human who saved my daughter." Her voice was calm, almost soft, yet every word carried weight. "You acted without training in Zarathian tactics, without loyalty to our fleets, and without expectation of reward. Why did you do it?" Ethan swallowed. "Because it was the right thing to do. Anyone in my position would have tried to help. Humans, we react to danger. We try to protect others when we can." The Queen tilted her head slightly. Her expression was unreadable. "And yet, your actions were more than reactive. You anticipated, adapted, and executed strategies that even our fleet commanders would hesitate to attempt." Ethan shrugged modestly. "I guess I just thought fast. I don't have your kind of technology or rules. I rely on improvisation, instincts, and logic." "Sometimes that works." A murmur ran through the courtiers. None had expected the human to respond with such calm clarity. In Zarathian culture, outsiders often flattered, begged, or attempted deception, but Ethan's honesty and confidence were unusual. Queen Seraphina studied him silently for several moments, as if weighing every word, every gesture. Then, unexpectedly, she spoke again. "You are clever," she said, "but cleverness alone does not merit recognition. Bravery alone does not earn respect. Most outsiders would fail, thinking only of themselves or their gain. You acted with purpose, without self-interest, without fear. That is rare." Liara's eyes widened. Even she had never seen her mother speak in such a way about an outsider. Ethan nodded, unsure what to say. "I didn't do it for recognition. I just did what had to be done." Seraphina's eyes narrowed slightly. "And yet the impact of your actions cannot be denied. You have prevented potential diplomatic disaster, saved my daughter, and maintained stability in this sector. Few would have managed it, fewer still with such composure." A hush fell over the throne room. The courtiers exchanged glances, whispers spreading like a quiet current. Many had expected the Queen to dismiss or reprimand the human, but her words suggested something far more remarkable. Then came the moment no one expected. Slowly, deliberately, Queen Seraphina rose from her throne. The room held its collective breath. Every movement was precise, graceful, and commanding. With an almost imperceptible nod, she approached Ethan. The courtiers gasped. In Zarathian culture, no outsider, no human, no alien visitor had ever been acknowledged in this way. To approach a foreigner personally was unheard of. "You have done more than what any outsider could achieve," the Queen said softly. "For that I honor you." Ethan blinked. "Honor me?" he asked, uncertain. "Yes." Queen Seraphina stopped a few steps away. "In my culture, respect and acknowledgement are reserved for those of proven loyalty, skill, or bloodline. Today, you have earned it. You have demonstrated bravery, intelligence, and integrity. And that is why," she knelt. The gesture was deliberate, formal, and shocking. She lowered herself fully before Ethan, her eyes locked on his. The room went completely silent. Courtiers froze mid-motion, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. A queen known for her strict protocols and icy demeanor kneeling before a human. Liara's mouth fell open in disbelief. "Mother, what?" "Do not interrupt," Queen Seraphina said, her voice calm but firm. "This act is symbolic. A human has performed what many of my own people could not. It is a gesture of respect, recognition, and potential partnership. You, Captain Carter, have my acknowledgement and trust. Let all present witness that your courage is not overlooked." Ethan's mind raced. He had never expected such an honor, especially in an alien culture. His training on Earth had never prepared him for this. Yet he stood, unsure whether to bow, nod, or say something appropriate. Liara stepped forward, gently touching her mother's arm. Mother, the human, he doesn't understand our customs. He may be confused. Queen Seraphina straightened, her expression serene. That is precisely why this gesture is powerful. It crosses barriers, defies expectation, and recognizes merit over tradition. The human world and ours may be different, but courage, intelligence, integrity, these transcend species. Ethan swallowed, trying to find words. I'm honored, Your Majesty, truly. I didn't do it for this. I just wanted to help, but thank you. The Queen inclined her head slightly. You have proven that bravery is not exclusive to bloodline or culture. The galaxy is full of surprises. Today, you are one of them. A murmur of astonishment ran through the throne room. Courtiers whispered among themselves. Some were awed, others shocked, but all understood the gravity of what had just occurred. In the rigid Zarathian hierarchy, this public acknowledgement of a human would be remembered for generations. Liara's heart swelled with pride. Not only had Ethan saved her life, but he had earned her mother's recognition in a way no one could have predicted. The bond between them, between human and princess, was now stronger than ever. The Queen turned her gaze back to Ethan. Tomorrow, you will be briefed on potential threats in this sector. Your insights may be valuable to Zarathia should you choose to assist. Understand this, you are not obligated, but your actions have opened a door few outsiders ever see. Ethan nodded, still processing everything. I'll do my best. Queen Seraphina's eyes softened, a rare gesture. That is all I ask. As Ethan and Liara left the throne room, the courtiers whispered among themselves. Some doubted the decision, fearing outsiders meddling in Zarathian affairs. Others were inspired, realizing that bravery and cleverness could come from anywhere. The Queen's shocking response had shifted the perception of humans forever. Outside the throne room, Liara turned to Ethan. Did you expect that? She asked, a smile in her voice. Ethan shook his head, still in awe. Not in a million years. I don't even know how to process it. You handled yourself well, Liara said. And now, the next challenge begins. The galaxy is not always kind, and there are those who would take advantage of your presence here. Ethan straightened, determination settling in. I'm ready. If humans can save a princess once, we can do it again. And maybe help Zarathia too. Liara nodded. Good, because tomorrow you'll see just how unpredictable the galaxy and the Queen can be. As the sun set over the crystal towers of Zarathia, the human and the princess prepared for the tasks ahead. Ethan had earned recognition, respect, and trust in a world far from his own. But he also knew that honor came with responsibility. The Queen's response had shocked everyone, but it had also set the stage for adventures, challenges, and tests of courage yet to come. In the quiet of the night, the human reflected on the day's events. One simple act of bravery had changed not only his life, but the fate of Zarathia. And if history had taught him anything, it was that humans never give up, never stop thinking, and always act when it matters most. The sun rose over Zarathia's crystal towers, sending shimmering light across the floating bridges that connected the immense spires. Captain Ethan Carter stood on one of the observation platforms, gazing at the vast city below. Despite the honor he had received from Queen Seraphina, he knew that his journey was far from over. In fact, the most dangerous challenges were only beginning. Princess Liara approached, her steps quiet but determined. Ethan, she said, her violet eyes serious. There is something you must understand. The pirates were not acting alone. Their attack was a distraction. Something larger, more dangerous is happening in our sector. Ethan frowned. A distraction? You mean the pirates were just the first wave? Liara nodded. Yes, intelligence suggests that there are factions within the council itself who seek to destabilize my mother's rule. They resent her authority and believe they can manipulate events to their advantage. The pirate attack was meant to weaken our defenses and create confusion. Ethan's mind raced. So, the pirates were a test, or maybe a tool for a bigger plot. That means you're in danger again, and so is the city. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. Yes, and I believe your perspective may be the key to stopping it. Humans were unpredictable. They saw patterns others missed, adapted to situations quickly, and often solved problems with creativity that strict Zarathian logic could not. Liara believed that Ethan's unique thinking could expose the traitors and prevent disaster. Meanwhile, in the hidden chambers of the palace, shadowy figures whispered among themselves. Their plan was simple but clever. Create instability, force the Queen to abdicate, and place one of their allies in power. They underestimated one thing: Ethan Carter, the human who had already defied their expectations. The first clue appeared when Ethan noticed irregular activity in the palace's security networks. While reviewing the surveillance reports for the Queen, he noticed gaps in footage and unusual energy signatures near the northern wing of the capital. "Liara," he said quietly, pulling her aside. "Look at this. Someone has been tampering with the palace systems." "These gaps, they're not errors. Someone is trying to hide movement." Liara's eyes narrowed. "I feared as much. Certain council members have grown ambitious. They believe my mother's authority is absolute, but if they manipulate events carefully, they could force her hand. If they succeed," she shivered slightly, imagining the consequences. Ethan studied the holographic map. "We need a way to catch them in the act, something subtle. They'll expect us to monitor the obvious channels, but humans can think sideways. I might have an idea." Liara tilted her head. "Go on, I'm listening." Ethan explained his plan. Using a combination of the palace's AI systems and improvised sensors, they could create decoy signals designed to appear as though sensitive areas of the palace were empty or unguarded. Then, when the conspirators attempted to exploit these false openings, the system would record everything. Liara was impressed. "It's risky. If they realize it's a trap, they could accelerate their plans or attack openly, but it might be the only way to catch them." Working late into the night, Ethan and Liara set up the system. The humans' understanding of logic, strategy, and unpredictability complemented the palace AI's precision. By the time the council reconvened the next morning, the trap was ready. Ethan's heart pounded as he monitored the results. The conspirators believed their plan was progressing smoothly. A shadowy figure crept through the northern wing, attempting to access the Queen's private archives. The AI detected the intrusion immediately, but thanks to Ethan's decoy setup, the figure assumed no one knew they were there. Moments later, the holographic record captured everything: schematics, secret communications, and the identity of every participant in the conspiracy. Ethan's eyes widened. "Liara, we've got them, every one of them." Liara's hands clenched into fists. "Good. Now we must act carefully. Public exposure too early could trigger chaos. We need to bring this to my mother without giving the traitors a chance to escape or retaliate." Ethan nodded. "Then let's think like humans and aliens at once: timing, subtlety, and misdirection." They approached Queen Seraphina with the evidence. She studied the data silently, her fingers steepled, eyes sharp. The courtiers watched anxiously, sensing the tension in the room. "These actions are treasonous," she said finally, her voice calm but deadly. "And yet the audacity, it is impressive, almost clever. But they have underestimated one thing. Humans do not think in predictable patterns, and neither do I when I am informed." Ethan felt a surge of respect for her. Even after all he had witnessed, the Queen's intelligence and composure were formidable. Liara handed the holographic map to her mother. "Your Majesty, the humans' insight exposed their plans. Without him, we may have missed it entirely." The Queen's gaze softened slightly. "Indeed, Captain Carter, your understanding of unpredictability has proven invaluable. You have prevented disaster through ingenuity and courage." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. "I just tried to see what others might overlook, that's all." The Queen nodded. "Yet your actions carry consequences. Now we must deal with the traitors. And we must do so without alarming the public or destabilizing the sector further." Over the next several days, Ethan worked with Zarathian security teams. He suggested unconventional strategies: decoy meetings, false communications, and minor distractions designed to mislead the conspirators while the Queen's forces moved into position. Humans excelled at improvisation, and Ethan's ideas were initially questioned, but quickly proved effective. The conspirators, believing they were still undetected, moved boldly. Ethan monitored their every step through the palace's enhanced systems. When they finally attempted to seize control of key sections of the capital, they were met with coordinated defenses they had not anticipated. Human creativity had given the Queen's forces an edge the traitors could not predict. Meanwhile, Liara coordinated with palace staff, ensuring that innocent civilians and loyal council members remained safe. She observed Ethan in action, impressed by his adaptability and clarity under pressure. "Humans really do see the world differently," she whispered. Ethan smiled faintly. "We're good at noticing patterns and thinking sideways. Sometimes that makes all the difference." The final confrontation occurred in the northern wing, where the conspirators had planned to kidnap Liara and force the queen to abdicate. Ethan led a small, trusted team, using a combination of stealth, misdirection, and calculated risks. The conspirators were trapped, caught off guard by the humans and AI's coordinated approach. Attempts at escape were foiled at every turn. In moments of panic, they realized their plans had failed entirely. Queen Seraphina arrived shortly after, her presence alone commanding obedience. "You have underestimated the value of courage, intelligence, and creativity," she said. "Today, your ambition ends." The conspirators were apprehended and removed from power. Their plot, though clever, had collapsed entirely due to the unpredictable thinking of a human outsider. The courtiers, initially skeptical of Ethan, now regarded him with newfound respect. Liara turned to Ethan, her eyes shining. "You've done more than save me this time. You've saved the capital, perhaps even the stability of our sector." Ethan shrugged modestly. "I just tried to think differently. I didn't expect to make this much difference." Queen Seraphina, observing silently, finally spoke. "You see, Liara, humans are unpredictable, but that unpredictability can be a strength. Captain Carter has proven that thinking beyond rigid rules, acting with courage, and valuing integrity over protocol can change outcomes even in our most structured societies." The room fell silent. Everyone present understood the significance. Not only had a human saved a princess once, he had now demonstrated the power to influence an entire civilization's safety and political stability. Liara smiled, pride and gratitude shining in her eyes. "Mother, perhaps humans deserve more consideration than we gave them credit for." The queen's expression softened slightly, a rare gesture. "Indeed, perhaps they do. And perhaps it is time Zarathia learns that courage and ingenuity can be found beyond our species, sometimes in the most unexpected places." Ethan looked around the throne room, feeling both awe and responsibility. He had acted to save a life, to protect a civilization, and to prevent betrayal. The experience had taught him much about alien culture, politics, and the value of trust, but also about himself. Humans were small, fragile, and young in the galaxy, but their courage, intelligence, and adaptability could change history. As the sun set over Zarathia, casting golden light over the crystal towers, Ethan realized something important. The galaxy was full of danger, full of threats and uncertainty, but it was also full of opportunity. One human, acting with courage and ingenuity, could make a difference where others might fail. Liara approached him, her voice quiet but confident. "Tomorrow, there will be new challenges, but today you have proven something extraordinary. Not just to me, but to all of Zarathia." Ethan nodded, a sense of quiet determination settling over him. "Then let's be ready. If humans can stop conspiracies once, we can do it again, and we'll do it smarter, faster, and together." And with that, the human and the princess stood together, gazing out over the sparkling city, knowing that while threats might never disappear, courage, intelligence, and a willingness to act could always make a difference. The palace of Zarathia was quiet as dawn broke over the floating spires, but beneath the serene light, tension simmered. The conspirators had been exposed, yet their influence still lingered, and whispers of rebellion persisted in the city. Princess Liara and Captain Ethan Carter knew that the final test was approaching. The kingdom's stability depended on their courage, strategy, and unity. Ethan adjusted his uniform, a simple outfit provided by the palace but still alien in style. He glanced at Liara, who was reviewing the palace's security grids with a focus only royalty could maintain. "Are you ready?" she asked. Ethan smiled faintly. "As ready as a human can be when facing danger beyond anything we've seen before." Liara's lips curved into a rare smile. "Then we begin." The intelligence reports had revealed the conspirators' ultimate plan. They were not merely content with undermining the queen. They intended to kidnap Liara and force Seraphina to abdicate, installing one of their own as ruler. Their network extended beyond the palace, into the city's floating bridges and orbiting security forces. If they succeeded, the sector would fall into chaos, and countless lives could be lost. Ethan and Liara devised a strategy that combined alien precision with human improvisation. They would split forces into 3 teams. The first would act as a decoy, drawing the conspirators into a controlled area. The second, led by Ethan, would navigate unseen pathways to intercept the kidnappers. And the third, A trusted group of palace guards would secure key access points to prevent escape. Liara reviewed the plan carefully. Timing is everything, she said. One mistake and the conspirators could get away or worse, harm innocents. Ethan nodded. Then let's make sure we're unpredictable. Humans excel at surprises. The operation began just after sunset, when the city lights cast long reflections across the crystalline towers. Ethan led his team through hidden corridors and maintenance shafts, using a combination of stealth and improvisation. The conspirators, confident in their perceived advantage, did not anticipate a human mind at work. Through narrow passageways, Ethan guided his team silently, avoiding patrols and security drones. When they reached the area where the kidnappers had stationed themselves, he paused. The room was dark, lit only by emergency lights, revealing several armed figures discussing their next move. Ethan whispered, "Remember, we don't have their training, but we have unpredictability. Distract, confuse, and control the flow." He activated a small device he had improvised from the palace's energy conduits. A pulse of light and sound echoed through the corridor, drawing the attention of the conspirators. Panic spread as they realized something was wrong. Ethan's team moved swiftly, using agility and clever maneuvers to disable weapons without lethal force. Meanwhile, Liara coordinated from above, guiding palace security and monitoring communications. "Ethan," she called over the secure channel, "the northern bridge is clear. You can funnel them toward the containment zone." Ethan smiled, a mixture of relief and exhilaration. "Perfect. Let's see how they handle a human strategy they can't predict." The conspirators attempted to regroup, but every move was anticipated. Ethan's team created diversions, blocked exits, and used the environment to their advantage. One of the kidnappers lunged at Ethan, but he sidestepped and used a control panel to seal the door, cutting off the attacker. Liara's voice crackled again. "They're splitting into two groups. The main threat is heading toward the central atrium, where you need to be." Ethan adjusted his course, leading his team along a series of maintenance tunnels that opened directly into the atrium. The conspirators were attempting to force Liara into a waiting transport, but Ethan acted swiftly. Using the element of surprise, he disabled the transport's controls, forcing the kidnappers to confront them directly. The room erupted into chaos. Blaster fire echoed off the crystal walls, but Ethan's improvisation and quick thinking allowed his team to deflect attacks and secure the area. Each step was calculated, yet adaptable, exactly what humans excelled at. Liara arrived moments later, moving with precision and confidence. "Ethan, the exit is clear. We need to move now?" Ethan nodded. "Agreed. Follow my lead." Together, they guided the conspirators toward the containment area where palace security awaited. Traps, preset by Ethan's suggestions, restricted escape routes, and within minutes the remaining conspirators were captured. The operation was complete, no innocents were harmed, and the threat was neutralized. The palace was silent once more. Ethan and Liara surveyed the results, adrenaline still pumping. "We did it," Liara said softly, relief and pride evident in her voice. Ethan shook his head in amazement. "We did more than survive. We outsmarted trained aliens, stopped a kidnapping, and saved the sector." "I didn't expect to do all this in one day," Liara laughed softly. "Humans are full of surprises. That is why I brought you here." Word of the operation quickly reached Queen Serafina. She observed the aftermath with calm dignity, her expression unreadable to most, yet her eyes held something rare approval. She summoned Ethan and Liara to her throne room once again. "Captain Carter," she began, her voice echoing through the crystal chamber, "you have done what few could even imagine. You have not only saved my daughter, but preserved the stability of Zarathia. Your courage, intelligence, and ability to act unpredictably have proven invaluable." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I thought was necessary. I never expected this recognition." The Queen's gaze swept across the room. "Recognition is warranted, not because it is customary, but because it is deserved. Few outsiders have ever been honored in this way. Fewer still have acted with such impact. Today, you have earned a place in the history of Zarathia." Liara watched her mother closely, sensing the depth of her words. The Queen was not known for emotional displays, yet here she was, acknowledging a human in a manner that defied centuries of tradition. The courtiers whispered among themselves, astonished. Many had doubted Ethan's presence in the palace. Now they saw the undeniable proof of his value. A human, one of a species long considered fragile and inexperienced, had succeeded where seasoned Zorathians might have failed. Queen Seraphina continued, her voice firm. Captain Carter, your presence here demonstrates an essential truth. Courage, creativity, and integrity are not limited by species. The galaxy is vast, and wisdom can come from the most unexpected places. Humans, despite their youth as a spacefaring race, possess qualities that even Zorathians can learn from. Ethan felt a mixture of pride, humility, and disbelief. He had never imagined that his actions, simply reacting to danger and doing what was right, would lead to such recognition. Liara stepped forward, her eyes bright with admiration. "Mother, I believe humans can be valuable allies." Captain Carter's actions have proven that courage and ingenuity are universal. His presence has saved lives and preserved peace. The Queen's gaze softened slightly. "Indeed. Let this day remind us all that the strength of a civilization is measured not only by its technology or protocol, but by the courage and creativity of those willing to act. Captain Carter, you are a symbol of that truth." Ethan nodded, humbled. "I'll do my best to live up to that, Your Majesty." Seraphina inclined her head. "You already have. Today, Zorathia has witnessed what humans are capable of. And let this also serve as a reminder to all of us. Greatness is not confined by tradition, and heroes can come from any corner of the galaxy." The courtiers erupted in quiet murmurs of awe and respect. The story of a human saving a princess and thwarting a conspiracy would be told for generations. Ethan's ingenuity, bravery, and integrity had left an indelible mark on Zorathia. Later, as the sun set over the crystal towers, Ethan and Liara stood together on the palace balcony. The city below shimmered like a sea of stars, reflecting their triumph. "You did it," Liara said softly. "You saved more than just me today. You saved Zorathia itself." Ethan smiled, though he felt a quiet weight of responsibility. "We did it together." "Humans, Zorathians, were stronger when we worked together. That's what I've learned." Liara nodded. "And perhaps in time more humans will join us. The galaxy is vast and there is much to do." Ethan gazed at the stars, feeling a sense of purpose he had never known before. One human's courage had changed the fate of a civilization, and the Queen's shocking acknowledgement had proven that merit and bravery transcend species, protocol, and expectation. In that moment, he realized something profound. Humans, though small and young in the galaxy, have the power to make a difference. One act of courage, one moment of ingenuity can ripple across the stars, and sometimes it can save worlds. As night settled over Zorathia, Ethan, Liara, and the Queen knew that the galaxy held countless challenges ahead. But they also knew this truth: where courage, intelligence, and integrity meet, humanity triumphs. And in the grand tapestry of the universe, a single human had woven a thread that would be remembered for generations.